Well, hello again, and welcome to the VK6CS Fun with Amateur Radio channel. Been doing a little bit of portable work recently with the 857 and the 817, and I thought it would be interesting to do a comparison between the current required by the radio for the power it produces. And I've been operating portable with the 857. And I've thought that, okay, well, if I set the output power on the 857 to 5 watts, then it'll only draw about the same sort of current as the 817. And I was seriously wrong. I'll just show you the settings on the 857. Now the 857 is set to FM at the moment, so it's going to be a maximum output power. I'll set it to 5 watts. Okay, so I'll just key the transmitter, and if you can see that, what are we getting out of it? 4.55 watts. If we go up to the power supply, that's 13.8 volts, and it's drawing 4.1 amps. 4.1 amps. There's over 50 watts in to provide that 5 watts out. Now it does get, and you can see it's 16 hertz off frequency, if the calibration on this test set is good. Okay, now it gets more efficient as the output power increases. So if I go up to 100 watts, actually let's go up to 50 watts. There we go, that's 50 watts. Key the transmitter. We can see that it's drawing 10.3 amps. 10.3 amps, that's 138 watts in. And what are we getting out of it? That's approximately, of course. And we're getting 50.5 watts out. That's 28 hertz off frequency. So to get 50 watts out, we've got to put 138 watts in, and on receive you can see that it's actually drawing 800 milliamps. I'll unsquelch that. Doesn't seem to make any difference. How peculiar. Alright, well let's just increase the output power to 100 watts. Key the transmitter, and now it's drawing 14.2 amps, 13.8 volts, so it's drawing another 4 amps to give us another 50 watts. Crikey, so the 4.2 amps in itself is probably times 13.8 is probably more than the extra power we're getting out of it, so the efficiency isn't all that great. It's producing 102 watts. It's 45 hertz off frequency on the high side. So 14.2 times 13.8 is the amount of power that's going into the radio, and there is 102 watts coming out of it, and the frequency, as you can see, there is 14.146 megahertz, and that's the frequency I was using the other day to talk to Dick Smith. Okay, so that's the 857. So you can see that it's really not terribly efficient, and if you were interested in doing portable operation rather than mobile operation, that really is not very efficient. That's going to upset your battery. Just going to pause this for a second. Okay, back again. I didn't want to bore you with the disconnecting the 857 and connecting the 817. We've now got the Yaesu FT857 connected. You may notice that the 857 is sitting quite nicely on the table with its little little thing underneath there that comes with the 857. The thanks, mate. The 817 doesn't come with that little hinge down thing on the bottom, so it's propped up on the strap. So if you do get around to watching this Yaesu, you might want to consider just adding that, because a couple of people have said to me that own the 817s and the 857 that it would be a really nice inclusion for the 817. Okay, so we've got the 817, it's connected to the same power supply and the same radio test set. So we go up here, we can see that when it's squelched, the 817 is sitting there, it's drawing 300 milliamps. So that's you know, between half and a third of what the 857 draws when it's just sitting there doing nothing. I'll just open the squelch on that. As you can see, it doesn't seem to draw very much current at all when it's producing audio, which is another excellent feature. Okay, so now I'm going to key the transmitter. It's also set to FM, so it's producing the maximum amount of power that the PA can produce. And there we go. It's drawing 1.9 amps. If we go to the radio test set. Hang on a second. Do you mind keying that? Well, I can't hold the camera still. There you go. Thanks, mate. So on the radio test set, it's producing slightly more output power than the 857. It's producing 5.37 watts. This is 90 Hertz off frequency on the high side. But look at the difference in input power. Look at the difference in current it's drawing to produce that. So it's producing slightly more output power for considerably less input power. So that's, yeah, it's about 28 watts going into this to give the 5 what was it? It was 5.37 watts output. So that is really a considerable difference. Okay, thanks, mate. So if you're thinking of operating portable, your batteries are going to last an awful lot longer if you're using an 817 than an 857. The 857 will give you the extra punch because you can you've got all the different output powers. You can set it to right up to 100 watts. But the we have found, I say we because myself and a couple of other radio amateurs that I work with when we're out and about doing some portable stuff. We've had the 857 and the 817, and we've had very good results with the 817. If you've got a good antenna, the output power doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, we've had the 857 running 100 watts, reduced it to 50, then reduced it to 25. People have said the noise has come up, but they can still hear us. If you're working very long range stuff, obviously the more power you have the better, and the extra power can lift you out of the noise. But I think the 817 is a very useful little unit. It's actually it's probably the ideal portable radio, and we've had good results playing around with this out in the bush. We connected it to 230 metres of wire we found suspended over some poles out in the bush, and got a contact over about 600 kilometres, maybe even a little bit more. And the guy said, did you say you were using 5 watts? We said we're using 817. And he said, oh, you're a good 5 and 9 here. Did you say you were running 5 watts? And we had to confirm that the output power was actually so low. That's how good the signal was. So that's a quick comparison between the 857 and the 817 with regard, you know, what power comes out of them and how much power they suck out of your power supply or your battery to produce that. So I hope you found that useful. Now the other thing that is quite that you may find interesting is on the if you've been watching the previous videos, you would have seen us using the 857 in the car with a Turlin on the bull bar. Well, I've actually taken the lead off the Turlin, and that's the feeder cable actually off the Turlin antenna. And I just compared that lead with our little test tail here, just to see what the loss would be, what the additional loss would be through it, and it was insignificant, really. It's not really worth connecting it up and showing it to you. So if that was 5.3 watts, it probably would have been 5.1. That's the sort of difference we're talking about. So that's probably through a couple of meters of RG58 on 14 megs. So the actual loss through the feeder cable to the antenna was just negligible. And Yes, apologies for all that wire in the background that looks a little bit like an explosion in a spaghetti bolognese factory. Alright, well I hope you found that interesting or useful, and as always, many thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.